Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my videos both here on YouTube and Vimeo, as well as visit my website, thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments in photography. As you know, here on the Pace Report, I introduce you to the world of the arts, and something very unique just happened here in Harlem, New York. The Kente Royal Gallery is a brand new art gallery run and owned by Doji Kadima here in Harlem, and he's getting ready to showcase young and upcoming artists of color, as well as bring the poetry as well as the musicians to a working space and performance space where the community as well as Harlem can thrive, going back to the great ethos and the pantheon of the great Harlem Renaissance. Now, what better way to kick off the Kente Royal Gallery is an artist by the name of Gabrielle Baker, who hails from New York City. In fact, this is her debut exhibition, and I had a chance to sit down to break bread with her to talk about her new exhibit, some of her art influences, and what the Kente Royal Gallery is going to do for Harlem as well as up-and-coming artists around the world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with artist Gabrielle Baker at the Kente Royal Gallery here in Harlem, New York. It's part of the Pace Report here in New York City. You are the first artist that I have documented on the Pace Report. Congratulations on this exhibit. This is a brand new art gallery, the Kente Royal Gallery. Tell me how you and Elder Kadima got together to make this the official kickoff for this brand new gallery.
Well, it's kind of interesting. We've known each other for a while, several years through some volunteer work that we do over at Abyssinia with the Blue Nile Passage. He's an instructor. I've been probably in a lot of positions in that program. And, you know, I started painting, I guess, seriously back in 2015. And, you know, I was always sharing with Doji and his wife, you know, I have a painting in this exhibit, I'm going to be here. You know, when we would get together, I would show them photos of my work and never mentioned anything. And then one day we were sitting together, I think we were having brunch, and he said, listen, Gab, I'm getting ready to open a gallery, which I was kind of taken aback, because I said, you never mentioned anything like this to me. I had no clue. By then, I had done a few shows here and there. I've done exhibits in Montclair, New Jersey, Greenpoint. I just sort of put my art wherever I could put it, Beacon, New York. And I said, because part of this is to get the experience of just doing it and putting the art out there. You know, you have to create an energy. It can't stay in your house. It has to come out. And so to go with the flow, I said, whenever I get an opportunity, you know, I will do whatever comes up. So when he mentioned that, I was very surprised. And the next thing he said to me is, would you like to be the first artist in the gallery? And so I jumped at that. I said, of course. Because while I had been doing all these different group shows, I really wanted to do a solo exhibit. In fact, in my bathroom, I have Post-it notes up. They're not my vision board, but it's Post-it notes with little things that I want to see happen. And one of them says, number one, I'm a thriving artist versus a starving artist. And number two, there's one that says, I would like to have a solo art exhibit. Now, of course, this is unbeknownst to Doji and his wife, Phyllis. And it had just been sitting there. So every morning I would look at that and go through the rest of my little Post-it notes. And so here we are. So I jumped at the opportunity. When we first walked into the space, I got a little scared because I said, ooh, this place is huge. And I said, I don't know if I could really fill this up. So, you know, what I committed to do, we had a little time from the time that we first started talking about it. And what I committed to do is to just add some paintings. So the last few months I've added probably 4 or 5 of these are actually new, have been done in the last few months. So here we are. We had some help and assistance trying to figure out, where do they go? And I think it turned out really well. So this is it. I'm coming out, I'm out. A good friend of mine, who's also a curator, had been a curator, said to me, don't talk about yourself like an emerging artist anymore. You're not emerging. You've been out here for a minute, and you have to kind of take yourself to another level now. So this is the beginning of that. We've had a lot of feedback from people, which is one of the reasons I love showing my work, because when you're in your space, your studio painting, you have your own feeling about your work, but it's not until you put it out in the world and you get feedback from other people, that you realize, okay, maybe what I intended to do is really shining through or coming through. So I've been really happy about that. The other thing that I talk to people about is just abstract art. African American abstract artists are really just coming into their place in the sun, selling at phenomenal rates. I mean, these are some people that have been out here for years. And so I didn't really come at this saying I want to be an abstract artist. It just, this particular exhibit, which I call Mineralogy and Metallurgy, really flowed from a book that was dropped in my house on feng shui.
It's interesting you say that, because I look at all the different pieces in here and I see a myriad of different moods and also different periods of your life on this wall.
Okay, you could be right. And this is what I love about abstract art. Because even though I may have intended, when I painted a piece, I'm intending for it to be a certain thing. But with abstract art, it really comes through the viewers. It comes through the person admiring it or looking at it. It's their own view, their own filters, their own memories. They're seeing something and it's reminding them of something, or it's resonating with them. So typically, I paint metals and minerals, which is why I call it metallurgy and mineralogy. But, I remember a couple of years ago, I painted a picture of stainless steel, and somebody said, well, that looks like a sonogram. And somebody else said, that looks like radio waves. And, it really started to hit me. It doesn't really matter what I'm painting. I mean, it matters to me. But it has to connect, some way it has to connect with the viewer. When you want a piece of art in your house, it's because it's speaking to you. It's saying something to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I want a painting of stainless steel in my house. This is just reminding me of something. One of the pieces here is turquoise mineral. And so in the early days when we opened up, people were again looking at it and saying, oh, this reminds me of the beach. Looks like, the beach, the middle of the ocean, the beach, etc. And it's just interesting. I just get fascinated. And so as I was reading it, I said, this could be a good series for a set of paintings. That crossed my mind. And then I said, well, let me take a crack at, let's take a crack at fire. I did one painting of fire, what I thought was fire, represented fire. And it just, after I finished it, I said, nah, that's not it. It wasn't something that I felt was worthy to put out. I had someone look at that painting a couple of years later who fell in love with it. Took it to a framer. She said the framer was excited. Where did this come from? But for me, it just wasn't what I wanted to do.
I'm glad you say that. And I'm going to cut you off, because a lot of people who watch these videos, inspiration comes through the environment, and you were thrown in through the wolves, and you knew that you had this gift, but God said it's time for you to go ahead and show.
So, timing is everything. Even though I did have the talent to do this, God's timing is everything. So I guess that was the right time to begin. And from that time on, that first painting that I did sold at my first exhibit. And I said to myself, God is giving you a clue that you need to keep going and you need to continue this. And so from then on, no matter what else I'm doing, there's always some piece that I'm working on. It might take me 4 or 5 months to get it finished, just because of other things I'm doing. I'm not painting full time. But, just every day to try to do something, to either finish an art piece or something to build up my art business, something to market myself. I feel like every day I have to do at least one thing. And that's probably true for any business or vocation that you're trying to do on your own. You need to stay in the flow, because, preparation meets opportunity. So if you always have something ready to go, and something comes up, you're able to jump right in the pool. I've actually talked to a couple of artists that have stopped in. They've asked me, well, what do you suggest I do? And I said, just keep painting. The universe wants to see, are you really serious about this? Are you going to just kind of dibble and dabble, play around, or are you really serious about creating and, bringing